Welcome everybody to another episode of Conversation with OGs. I'm Meatball.
AB.
And I'm Dre.
Dre, what are we talking about today?
Topic is, what is the difference between raising a child or raising your children in a two-parent household versus a one-parent household?
What you think about that, Fruit?
I think from a two-parent household where I come from, it's more stable. You understand where you see what love is at first hand. From my parents, my grandparents, or myself. A lot of my friends didn't grow up in a two-parent household. So a lot of times we conflict, but I understand why.
Do you think being raised with both of your parents in the same house, do you think that was an advantage to you?
Absolutely. From middle school, from high school, the difference of how a person most likely will end up. For a person to have empathy and understanding what love is, I think it teaches people how to become one with another once you get into adulthood. Marriage becomes easier because you come from that.
So when you say it's easier, meaning that, you've seen how your mom and your dad dealt with situations, even watching your mom and dad, it taught you how to argue with your wife now.
Correct. I never heard my father call my mother out her name. I never heard my father call my mother a bitch or hoe. Of course they had arguments, but my father never hit my mother. My father never got disrespectful with my mother inside the household, around me and my brothers. Never.
How long have you been together?
My parents been married, my oldest brother 45, so 48 years.
Wow.
So they're knocking on 50 years in the next couple of years. So to me, I'm considered good stock because I understand and I seen my grandparents, my auntie, my uncles. We got a large family, so I view marriage and love different than most of my friends.
Yeah.
Wow. So do you think, because pretty much most of your uncles have gotten married also.
Yeah.
And they kids. And you think that came from your grandparents?
That came from my grandparents and my family trajectory, period. We grew up, like I said another time, we grew up on love. So it's a difference when you grow up on love versus survival.
I agree.
Because you understand sometimes people are just different. Arguments are normal, they're okay. But it's how you get back after the argument is what makes things whole. People are just going to bump heads naturally because we different. But when you value and you have morality and you have all the things that you vow under God with, you look at stuff different.
That's just my opinion. I just want to say this quick. I just feel like when a person grows up in a two-parent home and they show love, their self-worth is different. They feel worthy. They feel loved. They feel like pretty much they can almost accomplish anything. It's like when you grow up in a house with survival. It's just like I've saw this. I'm the oldest of 6 boys. I saw this where people struggle with what position they play in life. If they relevant, if they love, and it's crazy. I'm seeing the exact opposite. Everything you saw, I can only picture that, but I'm seeing the exact opposite because I grew in a single parent home. And even though like I did, was with my grandparents for the most part, but my mom and dad wasn't married. They both was in the streets doing whatever, and I can see the effects it lasted on my younger brothers.
So, Dre, even when you looking back, when your grandparents was together and you saw them get into arguments or you saw disagreements, is that the way you argue now with females from what you learned from your grandfather, or would you say you argue with a female versus what you learned from your uncles?
No, I learn from everybody. I'm the top. I learn from everybody else. Like I saw my whatever my grandfather said, that's what won. Even if my grandma felt some type of way, he was the one came in every day. Well, not every day. At the end of the week, he turned the money over, let her pay bills, and did whatever. She ran the household. He did construction. So, but whatever he said won.
But he gave your grandma all his money?
Yeah, he may put little money to the side to pay, like they was heavy in the church for church, and maybe some gas and lunch money for work. But outside of that, all the rest of the money was turned over to her to maintain the household. You know, it was different back in them days. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Things was different as far as a marriage. Now, a marriage now is everybody hagging and cuffing and stuffing money and don't want to know what's in each other's accounts and all that. So now, as far as like me, as far as arguing, I've saw my parents argue. I've saw the way women has grown as far as like they mentality from back then to now. Back then, a woman wanted to be led. Now the women want to lead. So the argument now is with me, myself, I'm not about to argue. The old me used to argue and get headaches and all that. The new me, I'm gone. I don't have time to argue because my thing is this. If you look at your life, either you're successful at whatever you're doing or you're not successful. If I'm successful at what I'm doing, a woman can't come here and tell me I'm doing something wrong. I've been successful. I've been in the streets all my life since 12. I've took care of myself all my life since 12. I'm not rich, but I'm okay. So can't nobody with less than me come in there and tell me I'm doing something wrong. And you want me to take you out to dinner. You want me to do all these things for you, but I'm doing something wrong. Obviously, I'm doing something right.
You know what, Dre? I'm thinking about my history tree. My grandma was married, but she left my grandfather. Mm-hmm. My mama, she was married. She left her husband. I'm thinking about every woman that I ever seen that I can remember as my childhood that's supposed to have been with the man. They always left the man. And then when they left the man, they never got the type of man that was willing to take care of them. Most of the time, the man ended up moving in with them. Mm. So I far as I can think back, my history of women making decisions as far as like being with a man is bad. I mean, I've seen my grandpa beat my grandma. My mama dated men that beated her. So everything to me it makes sense why I react the way I act to certain things, because shit is second nature. Because like by you seeing your mom and your dad do certain things, so when things look familiar in your own household, you already know how to deal with it because you've seen this already.
See, but I look at it like this, man. Men, for the most part, we're not seeing boys, street guys, because when I was in the street, I was a different type of person. Now I'm a different type of guy. I'm a man now. I finally feel like I grew into that. I'm not about to argue with you. I'm not about to disrespect you, calling you out your names and all that. That was the old me when I had that type of mentality. Now, my thing is this. Why even get into that type of situation? It's easier for me to just walk away than sit there, disrespect you, call you out your name, and even stress myself out. Now, with women love hitting men below with gut punches. They love saying certain things that's going to get a reaction out of you. So that's where the relationships can get physical and all that. But that's not a good look. So if we raised, you got to look at the times have changed from back when everything was black power, everything was love, everything was united. Now it's every man for himself. It's like they got a saying like crabs in the buckets. So if you still got this type of household where you got a loving mom and dad, they can tough it out and they can struggle together and they can raise a child together. I feel like it's like a plant. That child is going to blossom outside of being over here. Call your mama, call your daddy. Your daddy ain't S, your mama ain't S, and all they being fed is negative energy and anger. So that type of stuff feeds and it's gonna make the child be that type of person. So
do you think that's why, like, raise it? Okay, I got a boy and a girl. Mm-hmm. When me and their mom was together, mm-hmm. we raised them together. Right. But once we broke up, they went with the mom. Okay. And this is the kind of stuff that I got. You know, the mama say, you put this in their head. I ain't put nothing in their head. You know what? You turning them against me. Listen, you're doing a perfect good job doing that on your own. Mm-hmm. So What do that look like, raising children within the house and with outside the house, in your opinion?
Well, I've was married, and I had my middle daughter in the house with me, and me and her mom wound up going separate ways. So she know how it feels to have parents in one house. Then she know how I feel to be from house to house. I think me and her mom breaking up and separating, it actually affected her to the worst. So I mean, it affected her with school. She wound up starting to fight and get into altercations at school, and it could have just been the reaction of my parents not being together no more. You know what I mean? You got to think when a child grows up in the house and thinking this is their future and everything is perfect, and then next thing you know, the parents separate. That's something they got to adjust to. You know what I mean? That's just like, to me, I feel like even though you're in another house, that's still like almost, it could be similar to death, because this person that used to waking up every day, playing board games, helping them with homework, telling them stories, sitting on the couch watching movies, cracking jokes or whatever it is, that person is no longer there. You know what I mean? So it's messing with a sense of normal for them. That's just my opinion.
What do you think, Fruit?
I think I have 2 daughters now. I got a 21-year-old and a 3-year-old. So it's a large gap. Obviously, I'm married now. So my 3-year-old is by my wife. My first daughter, I conceived when I was in college. But it's probably one of the biggest blessings because I wasn't no weekend dad. And can't no judge, can't no court ever tell me I'm going to see my child every other weekend. I didn't have to pay child support until she was a teenager. You know, however that went, whatever. But my daughter was very active in my life. Still is. So I just think it's what you put into it. You know, everybody wants the easy way out. Women do or are bitter at times when stuff don't go their way. But I wasn't. It was non-negotiable for me. I'm not raising my daughter every other weekend. A lot of times people go to court and that's their judgment and people be okay with that. I wasn't okay with that.
So do you think your separation from your first kid, mom, had a long-term effect on your daughter?
No, not no, because she's very active and we're close. We're probably closer now than we was back then. And you know, we grew up, you know, stuck to the hip with each other.
Yeah, I want to ask you a question. How did you make it possible? Because, like, once again, it's always a lot of bitter women. How did you make it possible where y'all would sit down and able to say, okay, you know what? I understand we didn't work out, but I still want to be my child's life, and she was in agreement with that.
Really, it's about effective communication. We ain't together. This how it went. Without saying too much. We ain't together. You moved on, I moved on, but we have this baby together. Mm-hmm. So what can we possibly do to be positive influences in her life? Mm-hmm. I was going on every field trip. I was picking her up from school. I was doing all the stuff my parents did for me when I was younger because I wanted to do that. I wanted to be better than my father. Mm-hmm. My father showed up for me every time he could. If not, I had an uncle or an auntie or a cousin. So my village, my support system was different because I had that coming up. So I already knew what was important to me. Mm-hmm. I wasn't going to be no weekend dad. That's just period. I wasn't a non-negotiable.
So when you talk to your daughter now, because she's up of age, she can speak freely to you. Yeah. She never said anything like, you know, I wish you and my mom would have worked out, or I wish y'all would have stayed together because it affected me like this, or. Mm-hmm.
It wasn't no. We have Jordan's her name. When she became of age, we had one conversation about me and her mom and our past, mm-hmm. but she was open to it because it's like me and her mom are friends. It was no beef. It was no animosity. It was no, I ain't never gonna dog you out in front of nobody. It ain't nobody business what me and your mom went through or me and you going through. We gonna raise this girl together. And she gonna turn out good. That's just what it was.
So what about you, Dre?
That's the point I was trying to say. You gotta have some type of a
Mutual.
bond of mutual energy, or because it normally don't work out like that.
Right.
Luckily, y'all had at least y'all has enough respect and care and love for each other.
Right.
Where it wind up going like that. Because I'm the exact opposite of that. I was forced in situations where I was the weekend dad, or I done had my child tell me they ashamed to be my child.
Your child said that?
Yes, I drove to Ohio. My daughter told me, I'm ashamed that you're my daddy. And that's because me and her mom never clicked.
I think she put that in her head, though.
Bro,
Her mom
yes,
put that in her head.
yes.
How did that make you
Ain't
feel?
no child gonna have off top.
Bro,
of that, man.
it made me feel bad, and it also made me feel angry. Because the thing is this, if you don't see your child is being raised by a bitter mom or a bitter father, and it's two sides to every story. You're not even giving me the opportunity to sit down and say, okay, well, this is this is that. My daughter asked me, he was like, well, Dad, why you want to hear this, and that? And I told her, I say, listen, me and your mom didn't get along. I was all type of bitches. I was hoes. I was punk ass niggas. I was everything. And I was like, in order to me to separate myself from the situation, I had to separate myself from your mom. Meaning, I also had to separate myself from you. Because at the time, I just got my name clear last year of felonies. I've been in the streets all my life, which y'all know. I have multiple felonies. There's no going to court say I want my daughter this, and that. You got drug case, gun case. I'm a felon. I'm pretty much the scum of the earth if you go by the USA standards. So me getting myself financially stable, getting my name clean, doing all the right stuff I need to do. You know what? But at the same time, I'm still buying gifts. I'm still sending money. I'm still trying to be the best father I can be with the circumstances and situation. So when she sit there telling me like I'm ashamed that you're my daddy, a real man would have let a woman say this, and that just to be in a child's life. And I'm saying to myself, no, that's not reality. No man is going to take disrespect, abuse and all that, because if the roles were switched, if I'm talking to her mama like that, she's going to want to fight. She's going to do some type of charges or something. But the man, see, that goes back to the saying, the man's supposed to take all the abuse and the woman supposed to just come out shining. But that's to me, it's not fair. So she was like, Ma, I'm ready to go. She stood up and walked away.
How old was she?
16. Her exact words was, why are we meeting at the mall? Her mom wanted to meet at the mall. First off, she's supposed to be coming to Detroit. I had to drive all the way to Ohio just for my visitation. Why are we meeting at the mall? You trying to take me shopping or something? This is the first conversation. I say, shit, this was like, I think like January, February. I said, I just bought you like 2 pair of Jordans and all that for Christmas. Why am I taking you shopping? Well, you meeting at the mall. You should be taking me shopping. I said, well, listen, this is where your mama wanted to meet. I said, we could have met at the restaurant. We could have met anywhere. This is where your mama wanted to be comfortable. She didn't want nobody to know where she stayed, which I'm cool with that. Well, let's go get something to eat. We in the food court. I said, well, it's a bunch of restaurants. Which what you want? Nah, I want to sit down somewhere nice. So this is how she talking to me. I say, well, listen, I don't have no money where we about to go be sitting down eating nice. I say, the whole thing is we're getting to know each other. We're talking. We're in the food court. You hungry? I go up there and buy you something, baby. And then it went left. I'm ashamed. You're my daddy. You supposed to take that on the chin. That's what a real man would do. Matter of fact, I'm ready to go, Ma. She stood up and her mama stood up and her mama threw the whole thing. Her mama laughing and they walked off.
So you think they had a prior conversation before you came?
I don't know, boy.
Had to. Don't no kid think like that.
I don't know.
That's disrespectful as hell.
Listen, I'm gonna tell you, I heard 50 Cent say this, and it's the realest shit ever. He say this about his son. He wound up walking away from his son, is cutting his son off. Which you think a man with all that type of money would do like that? Then it made me think. He say, how can you keep putting in love and giving love to something that don't get love back? Think about it. We do that. We done did that our whole life. Men keep giving and giving and giving to a woman that's not trying to reciprocate. And I know how to cut my losses. Like you said, if she want to have a grown-up conversation, once she get mature enough, she'll call me and we have a grown-up conversation. And until then,
You think you'll hold a grudge?
you know what? I'll never hold a grudge because she came for me. That's my job. But the whole thing is this. Hopefully we get to have that conversation while I'm still here. Life is short, bro. I might walk out this motherfucker, anything can happen. You know what I mean? I'm not no young guy no more. So the thing is this. I feel like it'd weigh heavy on her for not able to have that conversation if I left here.
So if you looking at from, because you had that particular child before you was married. Right. So, and you also raised a child while you was married.
Mm-hmm.
If you had to compare, far as like, the difference between them two and why, what would that be?
Okay, I can say my daughter Erin, me and her mom got married. I raised her in the household. Me and her have a stronger bond. And even though me and her mom divorced and we not no longer together, her mom was telling her things, her mom was saying things that could have been a lot of untruths. So now that my daughter is old enough, she be like, my mom said this and that, I don't, you know what I mean? A person gonna paint a picture how they want it to look. So it's only up to that child or that individual to sit here and say, you know what? That's not my mama, that's not my daddy. So now that me and my daughter just had gang night, and I decided before live, we just came over, we played cards and talked and all that. So we're trying to build towards like that type of relationship now that she's older. She's an adult now. So I'm hoping the same thing will happen with my other daughter. But the difference is when you in the marriage and you building together, I think you got more time to be in that person's life because y'all waking up in one house. You eating breakfast together. It's like the bond is gonna be different than if your child is in another house. You can still call, hey, how you doing? Everything good with you, little fella? Or, hey, princess, and all that.
It's not the same.
But it's not the same when she used to sleeping in the bed, laying on her daddy, and it just hit different.
I remember when me and my kid's mom separated. My biggest thing is I just didn't want no men around my daughter particular, because I understand you only get one chance to be an awesome father. And because shit, Dre, you even know it been times, you went over female's house and shoot, you bent them right over the couch.
Yeah.
And you don't care nothing about the baby, so I'm pretty sure other men looked at my kid's mom the same way. And to me, that was a fear. That was one of my fears I had.
Yeah, but I had the same situation. Remember me and my wife separated when she first was having a date with a dude that worked at the plant, and he was dropping my daughter off. So I used to hear the fellas saying, "Hey man, you a better man than me. This nigga dropping your baby off," and I'm hearing this, and it ain't like I didn't have a car. I could have picked my daughter up and I could have did it because the babysitter was right across the street from me. Right. So it was crazy. So
you think that's something she was doing purposely, or was just convenient for her?
Spite. Women do a lot of things out of spite. Like my ex-wife, she had my daughter spying on me. Like one thing I didn't do, I didn't have a lot of women around my kids. But this one particular girl I was dating for some years, we was watching movies. I had my daughter for the weekend. My daughter came over. She was downstairs with my brother. Me and the girl was upstairs watching the movie. We laying in the bed, fully dressed. Her back is to the headboard, and I'm laying on my stomach, facing the opposite way. Daddy, let me use your phone. She got on the phone in the hallway. Mama, Daddy in the bed with a girl. So she training my daughter and all that. I say, hold on. I went out there, I heard it, put her on speaker. I say, Princess, have your daddy ever asked you about who your mama dating, anything? She like, no. I say, with that being said, you don't call your mama telling your mama, well, who I got over here, this, and that. I say, don't be training my daughter to be a spy. I say, this woman is up here fully dressed. I'm fully dressed. We watching the movie, door wide open. I say, she running through here. And I said, once again, this is not a woman that I just be jangling. This is somebody I was dating for some years. So the whole thing is this. You at a point where you need to move on. I've moved on. You got to move on. So don't be over here training my daughter to be a spy to see what I'm doing, because I'm not doing that. You see what I'm saying?
You experience anything like that, Fruit?
No, I can't even say I have. Honestly, it's about just self growth and growth, and I understand what you're saying, but I'm gonna play devil's advocate with you, Ball, and say you didn't want no other man around your baby mama, around your kids. For whatever reason, y'all situation didn't work out. How can you control who around your kids when you ain't there? You know, you can't control what she doing when you part of the reason why you letting another man be around your kid while she wasn't there.
Well, see, our breakup wasn't mutual. So if I was the bitter one, I'm a controlling person. I know I'm controlling, and any woman decide to be with me, they have to accept that. If a woman can't accept being controlled by a man, she's just not the woman for me. And my kid mom, I met her young.
Right.
So once she grew into her own shell to the person that she became, she realized this ain't the type of man for me.
So can't
But-
help. I'm sorry.
But I'm still who I am. So I learned through violence. If a person hurt me or do something I don't like what they doing, I resolve it with violence. So that's something that I had to learn through counseling. I had to better myself. So you 100% right.
Let me step in before you finish that. I just feel like knowing the situation as far as the family, you got to look at maybe she's not that type of person because the influences. Think about all influencers. If a majority of everybody is single and this is what they promoting, ain't nobody promoting marriage and happiness and this and that. And that's what a person, that's all they know. That's all they want is to be like what's the norm. You know what I mean? So
And it's kind of crazy you said that because my daughter said a few years ago, she's 17 now, so she had to be about 15. And she say, Dad, I want to be a baby mama. And that broke my heart. And that's because what she see around her, all her cousins and aunties got multiple baby daddies and none of them is married. And when I heard her say that, that broke my heart.
but she didn't really know what she was saying.
Well, as her father, hearing those words come out of her mouth, because she think it's cool. She thinking this is how life's supposed to be. So I kind of feel like in a way I failed her because you know what? Me and her mom didn't work out. Her aunties, cousins, everybody in her family on both sides, nobody is married.
I don't think it's even you. I feel like it falls on the woman. It's not the man, because the man can only say this is how a man should be with you. Only a woman can say what's acceptable as being a woman. If everybody is showing it's cool to have 4, 5 baby daddies, it's cool to have 5, 6 kids, and this is what all the women seeing, they feel like once again this is the norm. They only thinking this how it's supposed to be until somebody say, you know what, I deserve better, and this man gonna marry me, and I'm gonna be a woman and not just be out here jangle-langing. Everything is normal. So I'm only viewing from her seeing the woman's point of view. She's seeing all the women. You see what I'm saying? She's seeing all influences. I don't care that you hear your father, you got influence, but that's just like you got one person, you got one voice, and you got 20 other women over here. You got 20 other voices, and you saying this is not normal, and you got 20 other people saying this is normal. She's gonna go with what she think is normal because there's more voices saying this is normal. This is okay. In actuality, it's not okay. To me, I feel like it's the same situation. Before a man, like I did it. I done had kids without being married, but I feel like as an adult, me knowing now, a man should be like, you know what, teaching, listen, strap up, wear a condom, don't let one of these women trick you with a baby, because once you get pregnant, she got the option to say yes or no. A man shouldn't bring life into this world until he's stable, until he knows for sure this is the woman you want to be with, and spend the rest of his life with and all that. But you got to think the average person had their first child, had their 2-3 childs in, it's never nobody thinking about, okay, I'm gonna spend the rest of my life with. We thinking about we having fun, or okay, we're dating and we click and it's puppy love. You get pregnant, and now we gotta figure things out. When we need to be teaching, listen, get yourself financially stable, get your career going, find you a woman that's gonna be with you while you're struggling. So when you finally get on your feet, she's worthy of the jewelry, the cars, the ring, the nice house, because she was there when you were struggling to get your degree, struggling to get your career and all that. And if a woman is down to be with you through the struggle to when you get on your feet, that's the woman you should be marrying and have a child with. But we not teaching them that.
And you know what's crazy? When you have kids by a woman, that woman, in my opinion, want to absorb so much of your credit. They don't feel a man should be glorified in no way. Mm-hmm. She feel whatever you got or you accomplished, she played a part in it. So what it is, she's discredit you in the sense. Mm-hmm. So when she talked to the kid, because usually the kids usually spend more time with their mom. Mm-hmm. So they hear her voice echoing, in my opinion, more than yours.
Louder, yeah.
So if she's saying, well, you know what, your daddy only did this because of me, or it wasn't for me, your daddy wouldn't be this or whatever. Mm-hmm. So for me, I'm like, you know what, we constantly taking a beating. Mm-hmm. If that child is not raised in the home with that man, he's going to take a beating. Mm-hmm. Now, he may be able to smooth it out in a sense, but she's spending more time with that mom. So whatever that mom is putting into that young man or that young woman's head, it's going to echo. Mm-hmm. And it's harder to erase something than to build it up together. If she speak highly of you and you speak highly of her, to me, I think that's the way things should go. But I don't see that structure.
Number one, it's like this. Where they meet these women at? Ain't no way in hell the kind of woman you talking about I would even consider fucking with, dating, fucking, or whatever. Mm-hmm. It's like this. At this age in our life, I value who I'm fucking. Mm-hmm. Right? When I was 18, 19, whatever, it's a different story. Mm-hmm. At 38 plus, if you don't have kids, you need to value who you fucking with. Mm-hmm. Because a person can only bring you down at that point. Mm-hmm. You date with a purpose. You should have had all your fun, your teens and 20s if you're not married by 30. Mm-hmm. So all that baby mama shit gonna probably go out the window if you dating with a purpose. To be real, a lot of niggas play games too. Mm-hmm. Right? It ain't always the women. Most of the time it be us, bro. Being real. We don't have our shit together for real. We appear to do. We act like we do. But niggas shit don't be together for real. Niggas put on a costume to want to appear to be the man. You seen it when y'all was doing whatever. How many niggas want to be the man just because, but wasn't really the man?
Well, we didn't know how to be men. We was raised more so like wolves. Exception of you, of course. We raised each other, and whatever thoughts we had in our head, that's what grew. So from our teenage, we was pretty much grown boys. So the women that we met, Dre had a baby at a young age, right. But so whatever he was thinking at that time, that was law to him. He would stand on 10 toes on that until he got older. So you thinking from a more of a level mind because you knew better. I can honestly say we didn't know better.
But knowing what you know now and the stories you hear, it's like, what's going to change? Something has to change. It can't be the same dialect in 2027, 2028 going forward. Something has to change because I'm just seeing it from my point of view. And I done been in college. I done been in, you know how success runs from in my circle. I done seen it all. But sometimes, to be honest with you, bro, niggas be on bullshit too. So the options that we have to pick from, it's like I heard a saying, we all fishing from the same pond. Well, shit, to be real, they are too. A lot of niggas really ain't shit. And they fool and they con these women into having babies. How many times you heard a nigga say, I'll let one fly at her? She don't even know her because she light skinned and got her ass. can be all fucked up. They raised fucked up, whatever. But you, because she's pretty, you bidding on that, and you lose.
Instead of getting to know
Instead
her.
of getting to know it, you don't date with a purpose. So a lot of times, it don't be real.
So talk a little bit more about dating on a purpose. What do dating with a purpose look like to you?
When I was single, I knew I wanted to be married because that's just where I come from. So you got to think, what does marriage look like to you, and what do you want your kids and family to be like? To me, it's a team effort. TEAM, together, everyone achieves more. It ain't me against her. It's us together. So if I got 100,000, she got 100,000. It's been plenty of times we go to dinner. It's tight for me. She'll slide me her card, and we were a couple. We were crew, but I pay. She let me lead, even when I'm down. You would never know when I'm down because my circle I'm with always winning. So I got a real team player.
So did you have to train her for that?
Train is the wrong word, bro. You teach. Train. You don't train no adult woman. That's like chauvinistic. That's like
that
wrong.
should be her character, though. You shouldn't have to train her at all or teach her nothing. She should have been groomed and raised that way by her parents.
You gotta teach a person how to love you, though. You gotta teach a woman how to effectively love you. What worked for Tyrone may not work for you. So ain't nothing wrong with having effective adult conversations. Say, baby, that bothered me when you said this to me last time. Blah blah blah. You got to get out your feelings and be willing to communicate effectively. You got to be transparent in this day. Honesty is out the window. You got to be transparent. Baby, that affected me when you told me blah, blah, blah.
So why she be like, get out your feelings?
Nah, she ain't going to do that because she understand that this is a vulnerable moment. When a guy could be vulnerable in front of his woman, she going to be receptive to it and understand that he's being emotionally intelligent.
Hold on, let me pause.
I just don't never see myself being vulnerable.
You know what? Let me pause on that. You saying she won't. Maybe that woman won't. That's why you have to get to know the woman.
Right.
Because you got some women who would be like, just say if my mama, I got a different type of mama. My mama will be like, you bitch ass nigga, get out your feelings, just like you said. But that's where it goes back to communication, getting to know the woman. I feel like as men, in order for us to get everything back on track, we got to start teaching the younger men. We got to sit down and communicate and let them know, listen, this is acceptable, this is not acceptable. And let them know the same way. You got to be able to communicate with this woman. You got to be able to, when you say fishing from the same pond, sometimes I don't want the pond that y'all got. I might have to go out of state to find the woman I'm looking for.
You might have to go to the ocean.
You don't, because my biggest thing is this. I dated women that people I've known dated. They may have been perfect, but I always said in my mind, I can never marry this woman knowing somebody I know been with this woman. And she may be perfect. I can't get past that. You see what I'm saying? So to avoid certain things, dating out the same pond, sometimes you just have to go find a new pond.
Do you agree with like Fruit was saying about being vulnerable to a woman?
I can't be vulnerable to a woman. I grew up different. And the reason why I can't, because the times I've been vulnerable to a woman, she always took advantage of that.
Same with me.
So I can
though.
never.
You're not vulnerable to a woman, you're vulnerable to a jangling. So at that stage in your life, you weren't looking for marriage or purpose.
No, everybody I dated wasn't jangling Fruit. But the thing is this, when a person do certain things, just say like we were just talking about me breaking up with the girl that was putting all the cars in her name for me and all that. And when we broke up, it didn't work out. She wanted these cars back. But she didn't want to give me all these thousands of dollars that I put my money down on. You see what I'm saying? A person that genuinely love you and it didn't work out, they going to want to be in your corner regardless if it worked out or not. Just like you and your first child's mom, it didn't work out, but she genuinely loved you. Otherwise, you wouldn't even still have that type of bond to being able to be in your child's life. Y'all still got to have some type of sense of love and respect for each other. If you pick the wrong woman that's bitter, then you got to think, you got to realize, you married. You know how many women will sit here and say, this man put a child on me and didn't marry me and turned around and married her? Women play a lot of mental games, bro. So you, in order to be vulnerable, you gotta know this woman like the back of your hand and say, you know what, my woman wouldn't. And you know how many men out here think that woman wouldn't and they woman would? We see on Instagram, TikTok,
Shit,
Facebook,
90% of the men think that.
all that.
Yeah, for sure.
But once again, it also goes back to dealing with a different type of woman. If I don't feel like I would never meet my wife at a club. I would feel like I would never meet my wife at a barbecue or certain things, you know what I mean? Different classes of women gonna be in different locations.
Right.
See what I'm saying? So it's all about the location.
But if
you
you
meet this
there,
particular woman.
if you there,
Right.
I'm a
wrong
different
with
type of nigga though.
I'm saying though, if I met a woman at a barbecue, it's because we got mutual friends.
Right.
So I don't think the group of people that I run with is bad people. So I don't see nothing wrong with choosing from the mutual friend pool.
Well, it
I think
depends
that's
on what barbecue, who throwing the barbecue.
yeah, but see, I don't go to everybody barbecue.
Right.
You know, if one of y'all throwing a barbecue, I'm coming. Right. So if they're a mutual friend to you, to Fruit, hey, listen, family, and yes, I will run a relationship report. What you think about she good, and I will go from there. But it's different if I went to, I'm at a club and I'm just, pulling her out. I don't know nothing. I don't, I start questioning, maybe I shouldn't be there. Maybe I'm at the wrong place too. I got a question for you though.
What's happening?
I was thinking when you was talking, you have a small daughter.
Yeah.
And looking back 20 years or so, what are you doing different with your daughter that you didn't do with your older daughter?
Nothing, because I've always been there. Most consistent thing you do is be there. I was very active in my daughter's life. From my first daughter to my second daughter. Most important thing you can do is be there for your kids, bro. They don't care about the Jordans and the gifts you buy them. You got to be there. That's just what matters to kids who understand anything.
I agree.
If you there for the field trips and the parent-teacher conference and the holidays and the family reunions and everything that matter, gifts don't really matter to kids because they're going to open the box, play with it for 10 minutes, Christmas time, and they're gone to something else. But when you there open up the kids gifts with them and you putting the stuff together for them, they'll never forget that. You was changing oil and changing brake pads with kids, your daughter, she going to remember the rest of her life. Now she going to sabotage herself. My man got to help me change my brake pads when I get old because my daddy helped me.
So is that how you was able to keep a relationship with your first daughter's mom, because you was always field trips? You was there for the important moments.
At that point, when me and her mom separated, we just gonna co-parent.
I think your co-parent and what me and Drake co-parent is different. I like yours. I like yours better. It's like it just don't work that way.
If he didn't grow up in a 2-parent house, he wouldn't know how to adjust and adapt like he do. Because instead of being understanding, he'd be like, this is what it is. Either, you know what I mean? You have to be understanding. In order to be understanding, you got to hear both sides. You got to hear the sensitiveness of the woman, and then you got to see the sternness of the father. He has both sides. So he's able to adapt. We didn't have that.
At some point, you got to hold yourself accountable, right? Whether your kids be successful or not is based on the character of you. My daddy, if a person said my daddy wasn't shit, but they 30, 40 years old, man, stop playing. You had 18, 19 years to get your shit together. Mm-hmm. You don't want me. That's something you don't want to do. Can't no judge, no referee. I said child support court years ago. My first daughter. Can't no judge, no referee, no attorney tell me you got every other weekend. I said, you a fucking lie. He was like, excuse me, sir? I said, you a motherfucking lie. You have to watch my language, whatever, but you ain't gonna tell me I'm gonna be a every other weekend dad. Fuck you in this little money. No.
So how can you make the mom accept the terms you're talking about?
She wanted a couple dollars. that little money ain't shit. All she wanted was the money because I was in the union construction. So she got whatever. I don't want to,
It's irrelevant.
Yeah, but she was influenced by some of her peers.
It's always outside.
That's how it always was. So once she got a hold to that, man, what matters is what you spend with the kids.
The time.
Yeah, but see, I don't understand how can you get there, because usually when the breakup happens, the woman is usually bitter, and usually she's worrying about what you gonna be doing with the next woman, so she want to get as much as she can before it's gone.
But you been there, boy. You went through the same thing.
Yeah.
You told me I won. I was able to be in my kids' life from day one, which you did. It don't matter how much money you spent, because you can always get that back. You can't get back the times you missed with the kids. See, y'all got the shit that I didn't get. I gave up the money and still didn't get the time. You see what I'm saying? So y'all niggas won. You went through this exact same thing that he went through.
I think you got it the worst though.
Yeah,
because what it is, it cost me money. It cost me money, but the money that I gave up, it was worth it to me. It was worth it. Because without me being able to see my kids every day would have killed me.
Right.
So the money that I was giving up, I had a plan. Remember, I told you, I said, I got a plan. But everybody was like, boy, you got the money. You run things. I was like, yeah, but you got to issue it out. Because usually the woman want her own independence, but her independence is coming from you. That's how she paying the car note with the child support money. That's how she paying her rent, the child support money.
The crab eggs, the lobster.
Everything going back to the man. But she won't tell you that. She won't tell you if that child support stop. She won't be able to pay her mortgage. She'll never tell you that. But you be wondering, why you so hard? If you making it about the money, I come and get my child. She ain't cutting that.
That's
She ain't letting that
because she
paycheck go.
need to keep handling that money. Right. If a person just sign over the rights, like if you can't take care of my child, let me take my child with me. The woman is not going to relinquish that. They're not going to give you that type of control, because now she got to get out here and work. She got to get out here and hustle. Bro, my oldest daughter's mom, they call her a lifer. She was on child support, aid, whatever, for the duration of my child's life. This back before the bridge crossed, they were doing food stamps, helping people with money and all that. I owed it over $200,000.
Damn.
And guess who had to pay that shit back? Me. So
you paid the whole $200,000?
Yes. I take that back. 13.5 is when I signed. It was some papers I signed. They wind up taking 13.5 off the 200-something thousand.
So you paid over $180,000.
I paid that. Yes. Out of my pocket. I couldn't have a driver's license for like 15 years. I couldn't have a passport, all that. Remember our first thing when I was like, it was kind of like a passport party when we went out the country. That was the first time I was able to get a passport. So all them, and then you got to realize, let me also say this. I don't want nobody to think this, I'm a deadbeat and all that. On top of paying out back all that child support, I still was giving my daughter mom's money. She took money and got her dude car fixed out off of me. You see what I'm saying? So not only that, I'm paying all this child support back, all these steak dinners and lobsters or whatever they was eating. She feed her, the other kids, and her other man. I'm still hitting her with my pocket. So yeah, it's messed up. So I
you know what else is crazy, man? Christmas, birthdays, all them type of gifts don't even go chores. Go towards child support.
Nope.
No.
It's just
monetary.
You volunteered
gifts. That's what they say. Monetary gifts.
But I promise you, if you are active in your kid's life for more than the holidays, more than every other weekend, the long run you gonna win. Because we gonna get old one day, and we gonna need our kids to take care of us. You don't want to be in a nursing home playing checkers with the neighbor until you die off. You want to leave a legacy behind you.
That's why you got to choose the right woman, because the wrong woman, everything you saying is going to be obsolete. You pick the wrong woman, it's going to be anger, it's going to be bitterness. You're not going to be in a child life. Or if you're in a child life, you're going to be disrespected to be around. So it's all about choice. So men got to choose better, women got to choose better.
So if you can do it all over again, Dre, how would you do it? Would you think more so like what Fruit saying about?
I'll start wearing condoms first, because I don't know how old A was when he got his first child. I was 17. I wasn't, you know what I mean, back then, and you know, back in them days.
You just started jacking like it then, huh?
Just started. Wasn't thinking about no goddamn condom at 17 back in them days. You know what I mean? Matter of fact, AIDS wasn't out back in them days. Think about
it wasn't talked about.
It was out.
AIDS been out since the late 70s.
It wasn't publicized.
If it wasn't as bad. You know what I mean?
I remember because but see, I was terrified of being a dad when I was.
Me too.
Shit, you was raw dogging.
Listen, she was the second person I had raw dogs. So
what made you blow up in them though? I would have been terrified to blow up in a chick.
I was only 17 and I never thought like, okay, she's gonna get pregnant. I never thought like that. You know what I mean? I never had nobody to give me the speech like, bro, all it takes is one time and all that. You know what I mean?
So at 17, you didn't know if you ejaculated inside.
I know how a child is born and all that. I know it's a risk. But nobody said, you gotta realize a woman gotta be ovulating. They gotta be, you know what I mean? At 17, dude, ain't nobody having them conversations. Are you ovulating? Can you get pregnant today? I'm not thinking like that. All I'm thinking is, it's the first time I'm out to pop. I ain't got no rubber, and I ain't about to try to run to the store. I'm about to pop this motherfucker right now. I don't even know if I was at her house sneaking, you know what I mean, because her mama was there all the time, or she was at my house and we was sneaking. You got to think at 17, you ain't got your own house. So you stay with your parents and your cousins and all that. So everything is sneaking. Everybody done went in the basement and got a quickie off, or your parents upstairs and you're on the couch. Mm-hmm. So whatever it was a rush, quickie situation. So I'm not thinking about all that. So when she was like, well, I'm pregnant and all that, one, she had already had a baby. So having another baby was nothing to her. Me? Yeah, she was experienced. And she was getting
y'all the same age?
That. She like maybe 6 months or a year older than me. So she already got a baby. So, you know, like they told you, you remember back in the time, they say, well, okay, you got a baby, you get food stamps, you get another baby, your food stamps increase.
Everything goes.
So all she thinking about, I already got a baby, I'll get more food stamp money and all that. And I'm thinking, no, I'm not about to have no baby. We had to talk. If I had this abortion, I ain't fucking with you no more. All right. Well, the doses. We ain't together, we just fucked. No, I don't want no child. And I found out through Tree. I hadn't saw her in 6 months. They moved out the neighborhood. We on the block playing basketball, hooping. He walked to the Taylor store. He came back smiling. And you know Tree had that goofy little look. So the fuck this nigga looking all crazy. He said, so you about to be a daddy now? I'm like, nigga, what the fuck you talking about? He said, I saw such and such. And she big as hell, boy, you about to be a daddy. Ran up to the store, full speed ahead. When I walked through, the first thing he said, you ain't got to take care of her. And I said, my exact words, I said, you just fucked my life up. And I walked out the store. I know, I can remember everything like it was yesterday, bro.
Well, Dre, you get a pass because you was 17. And I know at 17 you don't know no better.
Especially back in them days.
That's right. But, you know, in your 20s, now I'll have to be with Fruit Loop on that as far as responsibility. But as a teenager, you ain't thinking that. You ain't thinking none of that. But Fruit, I want you to chime in. Okay. You heard what Dre was saying. How old were you when you had your first daughter?
My last year of college, so like 22, 21, 22.
Was you able to graduate?
Yeah.
Okay. When you graduated from college, shit, that was a struggle. Shit, you.
See, but the difference is Fruit was around.
He had a support system.
He had not only had a support system, he was around us. So you around. You think about it. When he was over at the flat and all that, you got to think you around all a good support system, everybody working, then you around all these niggas that's getting money. It's different when you young. Fruit worked, he did his thing, but I mean, you was blessed, bro.
Yeah,
you had the best of both worlds.
He had, like you say, he came from a different world because just going to college.
He had his foot out in
college
both
back
worlds. Don't act
then.
like he was just a book. You know what
No,
I mean?
what I'm saying.
He had his foot on both sides.
But you got to think though, Dre. When we graduated from high school, shit, we weren't thinking about going away to college and none of that. You might go to community college for a year, and after that, you straight. It's back to the streets. Ain't no support system that's going to sit up here and help you through college.
I wanted to go to college, bro. I went to UAD. Listen, you know what made me quit school? My granddaddy got sick. He was the support. He was the person that was making sure the bills and all that was paid at my house with my grandma. When he got sick, I dropped out of UD. I had to get back on the block. So I want, if he would have never got sick, if he'd have lasted a few, just say 5 more years, I might not be the same me. I may have been a whole different person. But when you forced in situations, you know how it is being forced in a situation. You've been there. When you forced in a situation, you got to either put them shoes on or you
So
gonna
let me ask you this. Looking back, if you would have went to college, you think you would have turned out better now? Because you wouldn't have, if you was raised different, you wouldn't have that same dog in you.
Right.
I probably would be more successful. I would have got more successful sooner, but I'd probably be a pushover. I probably would be one of them niggas they smacked up the side of the head, the blunt runner type stuff. You got to think, in order to, it's two different roles. Either you're gonna take this role and be respectful, normal guy, or you're gonna be in the streets. It was like I was at a pivotal point. I had to go that way. If I'd have went that way, I think everything would have been changed. I think I probably would have been a nigga, I come around, niggas don't really fuck with me, you know what I mean? Because they don't like, oh, this old motherfucker, you know what I mean? I don't know, it's just, for me, I feel like I'm the best version of me. I feel like if I went to the UD, got the degrees and all that, I wouldn't even been the guy that I feel like I fell in love with. I fell in love with me because I was a stand-up dude. I ain't gonna lie, bro, think about it. You a stand-up dude. You can, if it get gritty, you getting gritty, and you can help people with A, B, and C. If you this type of guy, motherfucker call you talking about some is gangster, nigga, like what you call the police? What you calling me for?
But see, Dre, through counseling, I learned the way we view things and the way we process things was fucked up. So it don't matter what we process. Is going to equal fucked up.
I disagree.
You think though, Dre, a nigga can call you, just think, a person can call you and say, listen, it's going down. I'm right here. You pulling up to gunshots.
With more guns?
With more guns. Mm-hmm. Where you could have said where you was nice and safe at.
But guess what? If this is a person you love, you pulling up may have saved his life instead of letting him just try to figure it out on his own. And let me also go back to what you saying, no matter about how much counseling you went through, a person that's even giving you this type of counseling, telling you this is not normal, they didn't grow up in the same atmosphere as you. They didn't grow up where it was do or die. You know what I mean? So when a person it grow up where everything is flowers and they having dinners all the time and singing around the fireplace and all that shit you see on TV, that's normal to them. I think I'm the best version of me because I grew up in a bad, fucked up situation. I had terrible parents, but my mom's made me tough. My mom showed me how to adapt to the way the world and the neighborhood we grew up in. If I was trying to be like Carlton, and I'm growing up in where it's dangerous at, I don't feel like I would have been able to adapt to what was going on because my whole first thing was let me get the fuck up out of here, let me move out the hood. But once you move out the hood, you forgot you still leaving your family there. You see what I'm saying? It's like it's a good and a bad. You can't sit here and say, you know what, I'm going to go get this book smart, I'm going to leave, and I'm going to just get in and make sure I'm safe and turn my back to everything that I care for and love. You know what I mean? So I feel like when a person tell you, no, that's not normal, that's this, and that, they only can tell you the normalcy from their point of view, the normalcy from their life. If you grew up in the hood, then a person can sit here and say, you know what, it's not normal, but I understand. You see what I'm saying? So that's just my opinion. I ain't gonna lie. I'm happy with me. I wish I'd have just saved more money and stopped, did all the jacking I did. But to me, that's my only hindsight mistake as far as making it to school and finishing doing all that. I mean, that's life.
Well, Dre, just because people is going to say some negative things, y'all sure. So
cool
just say from where you at now, some of the things you have accomplished.
I no longer have a record. My stuff got expunged because this is like 20 years ago. I have a CPL, meaning I'm licensed to carry because I left all that behind me. That's one. I have a driver's license again. I own real estate. I have a job. I got a lot of things. You know what I mean? Now I have somewhat of a good relationship
Heating and
with some
cooling
of my
license?
key. I got heating and cooling certifications. I got all type of certifications. But the whole thing is this: even when I was in the streets, I always try to better myself. I paid through barber school, truck driving, heating and cooling, because even though when I was out there doing bad, I always knew this is not the life I wanted to live. You see what I'm saying? I went to UOD. I went to Wayne County Community College. I always wanted to be a better version of me. But I feel like right now, I'm the best version of me. So, I mean, I'm the good and the bad. You got to take the good with the bad.
Right, Fruit. Say some nice things about yourself.
Still going. I'm well accomplished. I'm in construction. I'm a master plumber. I'm a plumber contractor. I own a business. I'm married. My wife does good. She has her now own dental practice. She does pediatric dentistry. My parents are still living. They've been married 48 years. I got 2 older brothers. Everybody doing their thing. My daughter's graduating from Michigan next year with her bachelor's degree. I don't stop. I'm steady learning. I'm steady getting better. I'm steady evolving. I self-reflect a lot. I read more. I listen to audiobooks. I don't really read a book a lot, to be honest, but I do listen to audiobooks, and that's a little better to me because the type of work I do. I'm more around positive people, and out of everything, I listen a lot. I ain't the one that have to respond. I listen a lot, and I can honestly say that when you become a listener and you don't have, you listen to understand opposed to listen to respond, you become a better version of yourself. Somebody might say something to you, Ball, you ain't got to respond to it, bro, because that ain't who you are, right? We all know what you're capable of doing, you too. But a person will push your button to get you to react. Women too. You got to learn how to say, you know what? You got to know when to hold or fold them. You play poker, so you know what it is. Just be better. I set daily goals. I set weekly goals. I set monthly goals. I set annual goals. So that works for me and my family. I ain't in competition with nobody. And I always bet on myself.
Okay, last word. I learned a lot listening to these guys today. Some things I did know, some things I didn't know. We all come from similar places. We got to our destination different ways, but we was all able to do a turnaround, and we figured out how to get on the right path. So whatever path you may be on, you can turn your life around to and get on the right path. It's possible. Dre just told you, hey, he stayed in trouble. Fruitler was able to dodge some trouble. He was able to, get his licenses. He was able, marry, have another family, and now he's the happiest person I know. Myself, I had some bumps in the road. I was able to turn my life around. So it's possible. Whatever you're going through, you can turn your life around. It's going to require some work, some dedication, and you have to pay attention who you surround yourself with. I think that's the most important thing, your surroundings. So that's the last words. Thank you for tuning in to Conversation with OGs. We out.
Peace.